Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be going over a unique that I failed to do a unique item video on back when I originally got it, because I don't know why, maybe I'm just stupid. And that is the Fleshrender. The Fleshrender has been changed a little bit though since then, and let's go over it together. We'll talk about it. So first off, the Fleshrender is an ancestral unique mace. I believe you can find it in Sacred as well, and it does have the overpower damage modifier on it, which this season overpower is actually pretty good, and basically you can get some really nice freaking overpower builds this season because they really kind of like redonkulified overpower, so not exactly a bad modifier. On top of this, we also have the 21% damage to poisoned enemies, which is 10.5 to 21%. 30.5.3% damage while healthy, which does vary from 24.8 to 35.3. And then we also have 15.8% damage while shapeshifted, 15.8 to 26.2, and then 3 ranks to all defensive skills, which is pretty nice. On top of this, we also have the special effect, which is Debilitating Roar and Blood Howl, deal 2,070 to 4,141 damage to nearby poisoned enemies, and is increased by 10% times for every 100 willpower you have, up to, whatever your maximum is. So right now I'm sitting at 743 willpower, so I'm getting a nice 70% times multiplier to that damage bump. Now, this particular character is an older character that I had actually built around this idea. I wanted to see if I could build a character around what Fleshrender was. And so basically what I do is I'm actually specifically spamming both Blood Howl and Debilitating Roar, with exceeding ferocity. And because of this, because I am spamming them, I end up with some pretty nice Debilitating Roar and Blood Howl explosions, which happen on a regular basis. Now, I think if I go to the training room, I can really show you how this works, because when I'm fighting monsters, it's a little bit more difficult to see. But when I'm actually in the training room and I'm spamming these abilities, which on this character, I can literally spam defensive skills like nobody's business. And so I get the explosions happening pretty regularly, although it's a little bit difficult to see, because to get the effect to work, the monster does have to be, I believe they have to be poisoned. I'm pretty sure they have to be poisoned. Am I wrong on that? Damage to nearby poisoned enemies, yes. So they do have to be poisoned for that to happen. So in this particular case, let's go ahead and go to the multiple training dummies, and I'm going to go ahead and poison all the monsters, and then I'm going to use Debilitating Roar. And notice I got a nice little 37k, a 48k there. And so what I do with this is I actually just spam Storm Strike, which helps me reset my other abilities. And as I'm spamming Storm Strike, I actually get Blood Howl and the other to reset more constantly, which means I get a constant, like 40, 50, 100k little damage bumps going off all the time. And the really kind of cool thing about it, of course, is that I'm spamming my defensive skills. So my character ends up being very defensive as a result, because I'm spamming multiple defensive skills, essentially all the time. In this particular case, I was utilizing Nature's Fury to essentially grab that free reset with the symbiotic aspect, which is, whenever you trigger a free skill, skills of the opposite type are reduced by 5 seconds. So you end up with a pretty nice reduction in basically all the other skills. So all you have to do is just spam Storm Strike, and when you spam Storm Strike and you utilize something like Debilitating Roar gets a nice reduction from that. Now, you do have to be using, I believe it's the Gauntlets of Nature's Savagery, which is Werewolf skills function as Storm skills, and Werebear skills function as Earth skills for the Nature's Fury key passive. So that does have to be set up that way, otherwise you're not going to end up with those reductions. But it does end up pretty nicely. You get all these freaking ridiculous bonuses. You get free uses of the skill. On top of this, because of that, Earthen Bulwark also functions as the Earth side, which means we end up getting free Blood Howls when we use Earthen Bulwark. And when we get the free Blood Howls with Earthen Bulwark, there's also a good chance that we get another explosion. So we're basically just spamming the explosions as much as we possibly can. It's interesting, and I'm definitely appreciative of the additional damage bonus that they gave it, because I did feel like the damage on it was a little low. before, but it's definitely very nice to have multiple explosions going off on a regular basis. And this character is still just as solid as I remember. Could definitely do with some upgrades, obviously, since the new equipment level is 925, and this is a poor lowly 824 Fleshrender, so not exactly all that amazing. This is my Season 1 character, before Season 2, so he doesn't even have access to vampiric powers. All in all, though, I do think Fleshrender is an interesting item, if a little weak, I feel like. I'm not really sure what they need to do to it to give it a little bit more of a bump. I'm not really sure. The damage type of the actual effect also doesn't seem to be indicated. It says that damage to nearby poisoned enemies, and it does say that debilitating roar and blood howl deal that damage, but it doesn't necessarily say what kind of damage it is and what kind of damage that I need to be scaling. So it's interesting. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals joining me for these, even when we're just talking about the Fleshrender mace. And let me do a real quick check because I do believe that you can target farm this one. If you can, from the new bosses. So all the new bosses basically have special drops, and they can drop, one particular item over the others. And I think for the Fleshrender, let me double check here, but I'm pretty sure the Fleshrender is Lord Zir. Yes, it's Lord Zir. So if you want to get your hands on a Fleshrender, especially a much higher item level one than the one that I have here, which is pathetic, you're going to want to get your hands on one from Lord Zir, because Lord Zir is going to drop you some nicer ones like 900, 925, etc. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching, and keep watching.